to be noon somewhere, as my mom would say.
There it is.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
Oh, it's so good to be back here with you all. Welcome
Hello.
to Ovaries Talking Live. That's what we're doing here.
Live. That is what we are doing. Oh my God. We always go into those voices, Jamie. I don't know why we do it, but we do.
And we're starting to do it more and more. Maybe we need to work on that because it's starting to become a habit. And we don't want that habit, I think. That's what I think.
do not, but we do want this.
It's the show that nobody asked for, the only reason that we shower. If these ovaries could talk is live right now.
Right now.
There we are.
Fancy. So fancy.
With our theme song that may or may not be updated in 2022. At this point, we don't know.
Time. I have no time. There's no time. There's no time.
Well, speaking of time, that's not at all what we're about to speak about.
We have a really amazing show planned, so we want to get to it.
Oh,
before that,
we do.
But
we just want to tell you this one thing. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you're going to know about this in the podcast because we talk about this at the top of one of them. But we have this new thing. You just go to sayhi.chat/ovaries and you can leave us up to a 60-second voicemail that we may, like a voice memo that we may use in the podcast.
Yeah. So if you want to tell us something, if you want to fact check us, which
I love how you always say fact check us.
Because the first time I said it, you said, that's right. I said fact check. So
that's true. It did sound like fat check.
And we don't want to be fat checked. Thank you very much.
We do not want to be fat checked. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Thanks. No, thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. But if you want to fact check us, that's a good way to do it. Or if there was something you particularly loved to hear, or if there was a couple on that you it just warmed your heart. Or I'm trying to mention.
I can't wait to see where you go with all the or. Like what else?
Because I'm trying to mention only positive things because we really want positive things.
If you want to say something about like, oh, that story reminded me about something that happened to me, or it was insightful, it was whatever. You get the point. It's you get to be on air with us. So please do be on air with us.
We love hearing from you. So send us that voice memo. Love that.
And today we're not doing any hot topics because this is our first ever like Ovaries Talk book club.
We're having a book club. Which
is so exciting. Hello, Rebecca. Almost having a baby.
Rebecca, you're back. Rebecca, did you get the book? Here's the book.
Oh, we're going to bring in our author. And so we're not going to spoil the ending of the book for you, but we are going to just chat about with our former guest and author, Carolyn Elizabeth.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hello, Jamie. Hello, Robin. Thanks for having me.
OMG. We're so excited. Look at our 2 copies. And I have to say,
do it.
You win.
The joke of the year.
You win for what you wrote on the inside. Scissor me timbers.
Scissor me timbers.
I wouldn't write that to just anybody.
I was like, I bet she does that for everyone. I was like, that's such a great tagline.
Yes, I do that. I do that to my dad when he writes. Picks up the copies. No. I save that one for just very special book recipients. So.
I absolutely love it, and I appreciate that. This is the only actually signed copy of a book I think I've ever gotten from an actual author. So this is very special.
By the way, we're getting spammed again by the people. Last week I put this up because I didn't know that it was like a stripper thing, and I kept putting it up because I thought it was funny. And Jamie was like, "Robin, it's dirty. Don't put those up." So I'm not putting those up now.
Block them. Just block them. Hit the block.
All right.
Okay. We have to talk about this book, The Raven and the Banshee, by Carolyn Elizabeth. And if any of you at home have read the book or got the book or started the book, please chime in.
Wait, but before we talk about that, you have to tell people, give everybody just a little overview of who you are. And like, you were on the podcast last season and we were like, be in our book club. Well, we made the book club for you. I mean, I don't know, not be on it. We were like, let's make a book club.
Okay.
We think we're Oprah over here.
Yeah. So I am Carolyn Elizabeth, not my full name. It's my first and middle, a la like Angelina Jolie or Kyler Lee, so that's the direction I was heading. So, I do have a different last name. I wasn't just gifted with 2 first names because that's always awkward. I live in London, Ontario, which is where I am right now. Very cold and snowy, and married to two boys, and that's what my wife and I were on to talk about our, getting our family together with you folks last month or 2 months ago. I don't even remember when it was.
I feel like it was in October or November. It was somewhere around there.
It was okay. It was a while ago. Time has no meaning anymore, so I don't actually have any idea. So I work. I actually work in the healthcare system in cancer research, and writing is my side hustle. And I am an author with Bella Books, which is a well-known publisher of this type of genre, which people traditionally was referred to as lesfic, but in efforts, short for lesbian fiction, but in efforts to be more inclusive of sexual identities and gender identities. Most people now are sort of shifting to women-loving women fiction or sapphic fiction, that sort of thing. Ooh. So the Raven and my Banshee, the Raven and my Banshee.
Hey now.
Well, the Banshee is the ship. So the Banshee is the ship. The Raven is.
But when you say it like the Raven and my Banshee, it sounds dirty, which I like. So
what? Go ahead.
It is my what? I need to use a hand to count to 5. My 5th published book. With
wow, oh my God.
When did you start? Right. How long has it taken you to do 5?
Well, I was sort of writing fan fiction several years ago, like almost 10 years ago now, or just for something to do. When I was sort of at a bit of a crossroads in my life and not working full time and that sort of thing. And so I sort of had a lot of stories built up that I maybe could have turned into published books, and definitely had some ideas and stuff like that. So they're starting to pile up a little bit. So the first one I probably wrote in 2017 and submitted it to Bella for consideration, Bella Books. And then I heard back from them several months later, and then what didn't publish until 2019. So I had one in 2019, 2 in 2020. I'm already like I said,
amazing.
A few years.
That's amazing, though.
Just a few years. That's amazing. Good for you.
I mean, you've read it. It's not, it's not. It's just, it's basically just all coming out of my head, and when
you had to do
my head.
A lot of research for this bad boy.
Not nearly as much research as you might think. and that was. Yeah, that can be a part of this conversation. I'm happy to share my non-secrets about how much research I didn't do.
It sounds like you did so much. You know a lot about ships then, because I was like, wow, how did she know about that?
That's part of that is in fact part of the story about how this book came to be.
Tell everybody like the overview of the plot, and then how you decided to do pirates, lesbians, yes.
Okay.
Sex scenes,
right.
Yes.
Okay. So the story is about 2 women. My main character is Julia Farrow, who is the daughter of a wealthy shipping company owner in Charleston, South Carolina. In this book, it's Charlestown, South Carolina. I did have to do research on that. I did establish this during, right after, I guess, the golden age of piracy, right? Which was in the grand scheme of history was a very, very short period of time, like early 1700s, and I think was over by 1720 or 1719. So I established my time period immediately after. So the sort of bulk of the book takes place in 1720 in the Caribbean, but after all the sort of the known pirates, whose names you may recognize, were already dead or imprisoned or run out of the Caribbean and that sort of thing. Because, I didn't want anybody being like, why isn't Anne Bonny in this book or something? So
you didn't use that on purpose. You did that on purpose.
I did that on purpose. Yes, I did that on purpose because I was just making up my entire new characters and the way I wanted the scenes, the scenario to unfold. I wanted it to immediately after sort of what could have happened to the golden age of piracy. So So Julia Farrow and her lady love when they're teenagers is Branna Kelly, who is the daughter of a captain who works for the Faro Company. And they essentially grow up together, establishing their relationship. Is a very brief prologue establishing their relationship. There's some heartache involved that splits them apart. Brianna goes off with her family to chart this new course to the Caribbean on behalf of the Faro Company. Tragedy ensues. All hands are lost. Heartbreak, on and on and on. And then the book picks up immediately after the prologue 15 years later, where, and this isn't going to ruin anything, we immediately find out Brianna did not, in fact, die in that attack, and is now the captain of the Banshee, her own ship, and has established herself as somewhat of a mercenary. And I describe her a little bit in the book as the Robin Hood of this area, sort of defending those who fall victims to pirates that are still around, while also on this quest for vengeance against the pirate captain who murdered her crew and her family and everything like that. And so that's where this story picks up 15 years later. And of course, Julia and Brianna are reunited. There's a lot of angst going on with that reunion and getting to know one another again. And then Julia sort of accidentally goes on this revenge quest with Brianna and their relationship. So I won't ruin it anymore.
Well, you had some you wanted to read for us.
I did. I was. If that's okay.
Yes,
it's just a couple
bring
minutes
it.
long.
Bring it.
It's sort of what I'm accustomed to, is doing a little excerpt here. So I picked something out. So this takes place early. Let me just. No, it's okay. So this is early in the book, sort of immediately after Brianna and Julia are reunited under these really stressful circumstances, and okay, I'll just read it. Okay. Julia spun and stared at her intently, her breath visibly quickening as she moved toward Brianna, a hand outstretched. I was afraid it might have been a dream. You are alive. Brianna stepped out of reach. Yes. Julia stilled, her arms wrapping around her middle as if to ward off a chill. Are you the only one? Yes. Why didn't you come home? To what? This is my home now. Brianna's gaze swept out at the ocean and over the deck of the ship, her crew. She looked at Julia from the side. God, she was beautiful, and seeing her again breathed life into the fire Brianna thought was long extinguished. As the embers of emotion smoldered, so did the pain. I'll see that you get back to Charlestown safely, of course. Julia swallowed heavily, her eyes never leaving Brianna's face, as if she still couldn't believe she was here. Of course. I'm sorry for what happened to you, Brianna said. She was terrible at this. Empathy, compassion, warmth, tenderness, and kindness were not words usually associated with Captain Kelly, the Raven, the person she had become. More often than not, she heard herself described as cold, ruthless, savage, and heartless. While she didn't agree with that assessment either, she let it stand as it suited her reputation and got her what she needed. Julia tucked an errant lock of hair behind her ear and stared openly at her. But you still want to know what happened to me, what I know of this Captain Jagger and what his plans are? Brianna squirmed under her familiar stare. There was no threat here, yet somehow she felt she needed to protect herself. Julia could always see right through her, expose her secrets, and lay her bare for the whole world to see. Brianna would rather Julia Farrow hold a knife to her throat than turn those knowing eyes on her again, and she took an involuntary step back. That's right. I should have known. The anniversary is yours, isn't it? The 15th anniversary of the loss of the rebellion and all her crew, except you, apparently. You are who I was meant to be found by, to be left. She laughed bitterly, unspoiled for. Brianna pressed her lips into a hard line but didn't answer. She was sorry for what Julia had endured, but she didn't owe her any explanations. Ah, I see. You're not going to tell me anything, are you? It's none of your concern, Brianna answered tightly. None of my concern? I spent, I don't even know how long, beaten and chained in the hold of my own ship while the vilest men tormented me by leaving my crew to die and rot around me, and I could do nothing to help them. I could only push them away as far as the shackle on my leg would allow. Julia, my cargo destroyed, my friends slaughtered, everything lost. All so I could be left as a prize for you, the dead woman who, for the last 15 bloody years, I thought I would never get over the pain of losing. And here you bloody well stand, and it's none of my concern? Panic welled in her chest. She felt the eyes of the crew on them. She couldn't let Julia get the best of her, not in front of the men. She had to work fast and diffuse this, or risk losing respect in the eyes of her crew, which could be the beginning of losing everything. Julia, I understand how you feel. You know I do. I don't know anything about you, Captain Kelly.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I just, I really loved it. It was a lot of angst, and I was like, oh my God, please just do it already.
Do it.
Just come on. There was a lot, the whole book, but I really appreciated every time a moment came where they kind of like professed their love for one another, or Branna softened a little bit. I just absolutely loved, I like would tear up a little bit. I would tear up when I was reading that part of the book. I don't know, like it just, the romance between two women is just beautiful. And I like the way you threw that down there. I do.
And you just want them to be together. You just, the whole time you're like, oh my God, please just make out. No one's looking. Make out. Like I wanted them to make out in the beginning. I wanted them to make out in the middle. I wanted them to make out all the time.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
They did.
Yeah. Well, there's a delicate balance between, and I'm going to end up throwing like the tropey words out at you that sort of permeate the genre, between being too angst heavy. Some people like that, right. But if you don't make it really organic, sort of understandable, where you can actually understand what's keeping them apart. Like you really have to put a lot of effort into making it real. Like why aren't they really together? Why aren't they making out all the time? So, and if you don't do enough of that, then there's just the insta love, right? And nobody wants to see, well, maybe somebody wants to see that, but that also isn't that believable. People with this much baggage don't just probably automatically fall into bed again together.
And these poor ladies really, really get hands dealt to them. I mean, like the amount of tragedy that befalls them throughout the course of this book. I was getting to the end, and I was like, okay, they're gonna end up together. And then, oh my God, now this? Oh my God, like new things kept happening.
Yes,
I don't know how they're gonna handle this one. I enjoyed that,
you managed to have them have a cat, which felt very lesbian, which I love. On a pirate ship, I was like, how'd you work in the cat? But you did. That's critical.
But I guess there were cats on ships, right?
I mean, maybe.
I have no idea. Sure. But
I thought you did much research.
But the cat, you know what? And that's funny because it's funny you mentioned that. Yes, I did work in the cat, and it ended up being funny, and it worked out. Once you introduce a pet, you're in trouble, because if you don't acknowledge where that pet is, and this came up. This is the first book. This book is the first time. No, it's not the first time. I introduced a dog in one of my other books, and my editor was like, "Where's the dog?" Your readers are going to want to know where's the dog. Your readers are going to be upset because they suck at training. This dog, this puppy. So I was like, "Oh God, I wish I didn't put the dog in there."
I think about this all the time on that show Blackish. They had that 5th kid or whatever number the kid is, and he's not. It's like they gave up on the kid. Like the kid doesn't exist anymore. Like there's no baby anymore. Where'd the baby go? They just decided we don't have time.
Well,
for that
yes, you can't do that with pets, because you will get called out on that.
Yeah, so you have to hear the story.
So
it's like Dexter, when he got a kid, I was like, no, I just need him to go out and murder people at night. Like now what I'm thinking about is who's babysitting the kid while he's murdering people at night. You don't want the kid. You don't want the kid or the pets.
So I did have to take good care of the cat. In future books, should there be any, the cat is going to find a home on land, I'm pretty sure. So I don't have to keep
think that's a smart move.
So I don't have to keep worrying about the cat.
Genevieve will take the cat.
Yes. The cat.
Yes.
Correct. Absolutely. The cat will have a very good home.
Yeah.
On a more serious tone, Jamie and I both commented when we were first started reading it about, you did a really wonderful thing that you didn't, like, nobody was bashing them for being gay. And that was so wonderful. And like, how did you balance that for something that was set in the 1700s to make it authentic? And you did the same thing kind of like with them being women. Like you referenced it, but it wasn't all the thing about always overcoming that.
Well, Again, that's something that I really tried to balance, because I didn't want to write an entire story about how hard it is, how bad it sucks to be gay.
Yeah.
Those books already exist. And,
they're out there.
And with regard to the history of it, actually, I was talking to my wife about it early on, about how much I needed to address it and what in this pirate story. And her answer, actually as a historian, was, well, they're already all criminals. Who cares who they're sleeping with?
Oh, that's awesome.
Nobody in the golden age. I mean, everybody was already basically on the run from something already. In the Caribbean. So, nobody, it just didn't really seem to matter who was sleeping with who. And I actually did do a little look into this a little bit with regard to ships, which were all male. They were sleeping with each other, right. Ships that were out at sea for,
really?
Months at a time. I mean, they're probably not writing about that in the history books, but.
No, but it happened. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Of course it happened. Of course.
So they were like, what happens on the ship stays on the ship. That's what they were like.
Correct. So, I didn't want it to be all about having this big sort of torrid secret about being gay. And, throughout history or years and years ago, same-sex relationships weren't this, taboo thing. So, I just didn't want to make it about that. Obviously, in Julia's world, it's a much more, it was much more, and I referenced that a little bit, a much more taboo subject. Like, it's just not done. She was destined to be married and to society. Love of your partner didn't have anything to do with it. Really, it was all about making a match and stuff like that. So
yeah, but then. Yeah, I was gonna do a spoiler alert.
You're gonna spoiler.
I was gonna do something, but I didn't. But I love that, like with Branna, her issue with showing any affection to Julia was not the gay thing. It was because she had to be the captain of the ship, and she couldn't let her crew see her be soft.
Right.
So
yes,
I thought that was interesting what you did there.
Right.
It was nice. It wasn't the gay thing. It wasn't the gay thing. And everybody in town on land knew she was gay, knew she did it with the ladies, and it wasn't an issue.
Correct. Correct.
It was just, it was refreshing. It made it refreshing as a reader to like not be like in that kind of angst. Like, it's just like, it's like I didn't want to read a coming out story. I wanted to read about pirates and lesbians doing it. And you gave us that. And I love that. And it, but you did reference like what it was like to be a woman and fighting, for your place. But again, you didn't like take a bath in it. You didn't languish in it. You just like threw it in, sprinkled it in. And that was just enough for it to feel real. But then for it to be like, I'm in this special place and I just want to be in that special place.
Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of, I really do try for that. My goal when I write a book, because this is what I want to read, is something, fast paced, doesn't get bogged down in too many words, overly descriptive, that's entertaining and fun and, but believable.
Yeah.
And, sure, I could write some treatise on how much it sucks to be a gay woman in any time period, basically. Yeah. Although I know I probably couldn't write that, but theoretically one could, and one has written that. But that is not the kind of story. That is not the kind of story that I want to put out there.
Yeah, and what else was fun is there was a lot of violence in this book. There's a lot of violence.
That part I like.
And I'm trying to think of other books I've read that have this amount of violence, that have the main fighter, the main character doing the fighting and leading the fighting as a woman. And I'm not sure I have read any books with a main character. I mean, maybe that Katniss, what's that book with the mockingbird?
Hunger Games. Yeah, but she was like
a victim though.
Yeah, exactly. She was a victim, and it was about of a system, and she was fighting for her life. Whereas, like,
this Branna's like, she's like vengeance.
Yeah, like on the deck, and she was like, "I'm cut." Like, she was like, basically, like, it's a drill, and then just starts beating everybody up. It was like amazing. I was like, go ahead.
And then the battle scene. My God, I was like, oh wow.
See, that involves
nobody knows.
You know, that's the kind of that's the kind of stuff that I had to research. Like, what do cannons fire in the 1700s?
I was like, how does she know this stuff? And then that's dropping the anchor to turn it quickly around.
Well, see, I was just talking to my father about this. My father, who reads my books.
Oh,
and he was like, how much research did you do? Or, we were talking about this, and I was like, well, most of it I just make up. I'm just, but I'm, I'll throw in a few well-researched details and make the rest of it up. And I'm just apparently really good at making stuff plausible.
Yeah, you're like,
that could probably never actually happen, but it seems really cool, and you can sort of imagine it. And
listen, I think I've seen that happen in movies. I've seen that.
Well, there you go. Then it must be able to happen.
It must be real. Port side cannon.
But I was like trying to picture, like, I was like, does she have like a schematic of the ship up here with the names of them, so she can be like, she's walking from here down to here, or are you just imagining that in your head?
No, okay, actually, yes, I did have an image of ship naming all the the parts that I needed. But so this is part of the story, and I'm gonna date myself now. In the 90s, when I was in my 20s, they in New Zealand, and I might get this part wrong. New Zealand built an actual replica of James Cook's ship that he explored the Pacific Islands on. So the Endeavor, and you can look this up. The ship still exists somewhere. And so in the 90s, they hired on this crew and a captain, mostly sailors or professional sailors and crew from the UK, New Zealand, and Australia, and they sailed around the world. And I was living in New England, New Hampshire at the time. And the city of Portsmouth, New Hampshire put out a call for 4 young people between 18 and 24, I think. And I just made the cut age-wise, and you could write an essay about why you deserved to sail on the ship or something. And they would pay for you to sail on the ship. Otherwise, you had to pay like $1,000 to sail for a week on the ship. So I wrote this essay, and I won this scholarship to sail on the Endeavor replica from New Bedford, Mass. back to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So I got a ride down to New Bedford, Mass. with a friend of mine, and got onto now at the time I had no idea what I was just like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do that, because I was 24. I'm like, yeah, okay. I had to take a week off of my janitor job. No, for real, that really wasn't my
20s are the best, huh?
I know, like, just do whatever you want to in 20s.
So I did not realize that we were actually signing on to be part of the crew.
That's what I wondered.
Yes. Well, I wondered that too. Well, actually, I didn't wonder it. I just assumed, because I was paying for it, well, I wasn't really, that I could do or not do whatever I wanted. Yeah. That was not the case. So
you thought it was going to be a cruise ship.
Yes, we were trained. We were put on a watch, like 4-hour watches. So you worked 4 hours, off 4 hours, work 4 hours, off 4 hours. That includes overnight.
Oh my God.
We slept in hammocks that we had. We were assigned like a hammock berth. And then every night we had to string up our own hammock.
Oh my God.
And that is what we slept in for your 4 hours.
Oh my God.
And then you worked. You learned how
Sounds
to
like being a parent.
You climbed to the top, you climbed to the fighting top, you shimmied out on the yard arms and furled sails and stuff like that.
So you know this stuff. So did this stuff.
So I really did it. And we on this particular trip, we ran into quite a lot of bad weather, actually. And everyone got really, really sick, sick. Like, you'd be pulling up a line and there'd be vomit all over it because somebody like hurled over the side of the ship, and you were putting your hand in it, and you had to like bucket wash the deck every once in a while. But as it turns out, I do not get seasick. So there was me and one other young woman named Pippa, who was a part of the permanent crew, and so we ended up having to do a lot of the climbing because we weren't like incapacitated with nausea.
Look at the ladies saving the day.
Yeah, all right. I probably couldn't do it now. I definitely couldn't do it now. You had to be quite fit and quite nimble to actually climb up there. And you were sort of clipped on, but
sort of.
I was going to say, this seems like a liability, this little trip here. This seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
I'm sure I signed a waiver. at some
I would,
point.
I would assume so.
But yes, so I did do that. So I was more familiar perhaps with what a ship like this looks like, feels like, what it's like to be on one than probably most people, because I have done it. So
I would imagine that came in handy for writing this book. I would imagine.
It did.
Yeah.
It did for sure. So, it was fun to draw on that. I have a trailer or a book promo trailer. I'm like looking like it's going to show up or something. That a friend of mine did it, Susie Carr at Sunny Bee Productions. And I actually had, while I was on this trip, I had a friend of mine back in Portsmouth videotaping, like VHS taping, the news clips, because they were filming and doing news clips live from the ship. And he was videotaping. Well, I took that VHS and I had it digitized, and I sent it to Susie to use for this book promo. So if you watch the video, it's about 4 minutes long. There are a few clips. You won't see me because I didn't use parts of it where there were people in it, but the grainy clips of a ship and stuff, that is actually the ship we sailed. That is actually a clip from that trip and everything like that. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, so it was nice to be able to get that footage, to watch it again, to be able to show my kids, like, I don't have a VCR anymore.
Yeah, no, I know.
Where to get one, or So no, yeah, I put it on. Now I have it in the cloud, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So I want to know, now that you've told me about your friend Pippa on the ship, were Branna and Julia based on you and Pippa, perhaps?
No.
On you and your wife, perhaps?
On you and your wife?
Well, all I can, no, not at all. They're completely essentially made up, but I can say with certainty, and I keep wondering whether or not this is I'm ever gonna run out of personal traits to imbue into my main characters. So far, every main character that I've written, almost every character that I've written, has some piece of me, some more than others.
Right.
Some characters more than others, but there's always something about these characters that I sort of draw from my own experience, or my own attitudes, or my own beliefs, or my own quirks or neuroses, or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely true of all my characters.
So is it true of both Branna and Julia, or just one of them for you?
And what's the trait?
And what's the trait?
And
I'd like to meet Branna. I'm just kidding.
Well,
and can you arrange a meet and greet for Jamie and Branna? Go.
See, probably for Branna would be like her desperate need for therapy.
She could use a little help in letting people in. She's got some walls.
She's got some emotions out. Yeah.
She keeps a lot of stuff, too much stuff. She carries too much that she doesn't need to carry. So
Julia knows it, and that's what makes them lovely together. She'll wait for her.
Yeah,
she'll wait for her.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. It just Go ahead, Jamie. Go ahead.
I loved every time before a hot scene, it would be Julia standing. It's not every time, but many times Julia would be standing, and Branna would go, "God, you're beautiful." I just love that so much. And I'd be like, yeah, this is
she is. Yes, she is.
Yes.
I also love like the moments like when they're fighting each other, because they're so dramatic, like where it's like somebody just got injured or the Julia just got injured, and Branna's like she struggled to not cup her face. She like, it's just like all of that, like she just she catches her breath. Yeah, cup her face. Her
brushes against her nipple.
This is definitely, I really wanted to give this a bodice ripper feel to it, right?
Yeah.
There is no actual bodice ripping that happens, but this is the general sort of tone of this book, really. Yeah. But except for they save themselves, it's just the men don't do the saving, right? They save each other, they save themselves. But
it's just wonderful.
I wanted it to have that really escapism fantasy feel to it.
It's funny that you should say that, because I was just going to say, like, to me, one of the reasons why I was excited about this is that as moms, like, as parents, like, we're knee deep. We are knee deep in like life, real life. We're all in the middle of a pandemic. We're all like, there was something like so escapism about being able to just pull this book and just like get into the 1700s with hot lesbian pirates. Like I was like, you had me at hot lesbian pirates. Yes. So I think that's why Jamie and I were both like, yes, for our audience, this will be a great conversation.
It's something that's not Diary of a Wimpy Kid right now. I appreciate.
It's not animated. It's not,
Momming is hard. Momming is hard.
It really is. Well, is there anything you want to tell everybody about the process, or where they can get it, and tell everybody all the things?
You can buy it in all the usual places. You can buy books, Amazon. I don't usually like to plug Amazon too much. However,
we get it.
That's where you can get it, and that's where you can get it from sort of anywhere in the world. I actually have a hard time. In Canada, I actually have to use Amazon way more than I want to because I can't get stuff otherwise. Because once I buy something from the States, and then with the exchange rate and then paying to ship it, I'm like, Amazon, I have to give you more money. But even better than Amazon, you can buy this book and all my other books and all other people's books on bellabooks.com, which is the publisher's website. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this, if you buy direct from the publisher, everybody gets more money and Bezos gets none. So
we like that.
If you can help it, if you have options like that, buy direct from the publisher at Bella Books.
Are you doing audiobooks? Are audiobooks available? Or are you going to be doing an audiobook for this?
It has not been officially announced.
Oh, are we breaking?
But
something?
Maybe.
Okay.
But I have gotten a positive email from the publisher with regard to audio on this book. So
that's
amazing.
Exciting.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. Yep.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Well, we love this. We just love reading it, and we love having you. And anytime we can have you back, we're going to have you back.
Every book you write. Every book you write. Just keep us posted.
Well, I got something in the works right now. It won't be till 2023, but you'll like it. It's actiony and sexy, and there's motorcycles and pool playing and stuff like that.
Yes.
All of the things. Well, thank you so much for coming by. Wait, tell everybody where they can follow you too. We didn't do that.
Let's see. My website, which is actually being worked on and updated at the moment, is CarolynElizabethFiction.com. I have a Twitter handle, Carolyn Eliza 419, and my email, CarolynElizabeth419@gmail.com. You can reach me all of those places. I think that's it. I'm on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I haven't.
Jamie stopped herself from saying the Book of the Facha.
I haven't branched out to TikTok yet, but I keep threatening myself that I'm going to just
get on there.
Break up that 4-minute trailer into like 15 to 30-second bits and put it on there. I mean, girls make it out. I can't imagine it's not going to do well.
I just don't know how to do it. Yeah. And like my 6-year-old, once I caught him like with his tablet between his legs, thinking he was making a TikTok video of his privates, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Making a TikTok." I'm like,
"Oh no,
no,
God!"
I was like, First of all, you're holding the tablet upside down. Second of all, you don't have a TikTok account. Thirdly, we don't do that.
You can't do that. Let's not do that. Oh,
let's break down the word private. Let's start there.
How are we going to do this with children? I don't even know.
Well, thank you.
The world is a new place.
So much for coming by. We had such a blast talking to you, and thank you for letting us read this amazing book. So fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was. I love that we got like inside scoop. I mean, and everybody has to go out and get The Raven and the Banshee.
Book, The Raven and the Banshee by Carolyn Elizabeth.
I mean,
like she says, it's a quick, easy read. It goes, it flows nicely. It goes quickly. And I can't believe she didn't do research on all that stuff. I mean, I get it.
Well, but then it did leak out that she was actually on a replica, that's crewing. True. I mean, she's got some research skills. I mean, maybe she made some up, but you know.
I wish I had a paragraph I could read with all the lingo, because I was like, wow, she really knows.
Oh, I know. Stuff. The one where Julia like falls off the thing and she's got the rope around her. That was very lingo heavy of her like walking out on the thing and the thing snapping and I just keep saying the thing and the thing and the thing and the rope around her waist and Oh, so good.
And the battle scene's full of, I'm like, how you know what that is? How you know what that is? Anyway, okay. Well, it was fun.
And you guys, you could go out and you could rate and review her book on Amazon. Won't give Bezos any money, but it will help Carolyn's book come up. And when you're there, I don't know, rate and review our book.
What are you gonna say? What are we gonna say?
You're already there. You're already on Amazon. You're already in the flow of commenting.
You might as well.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what?
There.
It might get a second run.
It could.
Or a first. It's such a good book, our book. I don't know. Anyway,
oh my God.
Whatever.
Well, Jamie, our first ever book club, I think it came off without a hitch. It was great. And I feel like we should leave before we wreck it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's been fun. It's been real. We've got a great show next week.
It's been real fun.
It's been real fun. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. And yeah.
New episode coming out Monday. Our 100 and Lily and Virginia is an excellent episode coming out on Monday. And the week after that is our 150th episode. Oh my God, we're putting Jamie to bed on that note. All right, everyone, eggs.
I'm so busy. Ovaries.
I'm so busy. Out.